AmericanMusicConcepts.com.
And welcome to the February 2018 episode of the Jingle Podcast. It's Jim Reilly from American Music Concepts, and we're going to be joining our friend Steve Zetsche from KULP Radio in El Campo, Texas. We're going to play some of Steve's favorite client jingles we've created. We're going to play some of his IDs, and we're going to dig into the mind of Steve Zetsche. Steve is a really smart broadcaster, and this guy loves radio, and he's going to share his thoughts with you on the podcast.
AmericanMusicConcepts.com.
United Ag General Store, more of what Texans are looking for. For the farmer, rancher, or hunter, and you are just looking for something special too. Pet supplies, lawn and garden, feed and guns, everything you need under the sun. Friendly people, professional advice. United Ag General Store, more of what Texans are looking for. United Ag General Store.
Rice Farmers Co-op, Mr. Tire, your friends in the tire business.
Well, it's first-class service you've come to trust. For your car, your truck, your baby,
Come bring it to us. Rice Farmers Co-op, Mr. Tire.
your friends in the tire business.
Great service with that personal touch.
Certified pros for your car or truck.
Rice Farmers Co-op, Mr. Tire, your friends in the tire business.
New First National Bank, your town, your bank. Over a century of serving you. New First National Bank, friendly, modern, and convenient too. A reputation built on you. Visit newfirst.com. New First National Bank, your town, your bank.
Some new client jingles we just delivered to KULP Radio in El Campo, Texas. United Ag, Rice Farmers Co-op, Mr. Tire, and New First National Bank. And guess what? I'm sitting right now at the studios of KULP in El Campo, Texas. And we did some station liners for them. Check this out.
KULP, El Campo, Texas. Texas country.
Texans, outlaws, and legends.
KULP, Texas outlaws and legends. FM 106.7. KULP.
Steve Zetsche is my all-time best friend in the radio business. We go back to when we first met in Long Branch, New Jersey back in 1981. We've stayed in touch over the years, and Steve and I still work together to this day. Steve is the proud owner of KULP Radio in El Campo, Texas. Steve, thanks so much for joining me today on the Jingle Podcast.
Hey, Jim. Good to see you. Glad you're in from New Jersey. Welcome to El Campo, Texas.
Steve, please tell us about KULP and the very cool town of El Campo you call home.
Well, KULP, until recently, was a standalone AM radio station. 500 watts of full power at 1390 AM and 180 watts at night. I say recently because we are one of those stations that has picked up a translator, and we now broadcast on both the AM and the FM. But for 69 years, we were just a standalone AM radio station.
KULP has been serving this community since April 13th, 1948. KULP has a big 70-year anniversary just weeks away. That's remarkable.
And during those 70 years, KULP has had 3 owners and 5 general managers, and I'm one of the 5. KULP has been the model of consistency. We're essentially the same format that Culp Kruger put on in 1948. We do news, we do weather, we do sports, we play Texas country music, and we have the longest running radio program in America. 70 years this year, in fact. We've been playing polka music between 8 and 9 a.m. on KULP since 1948. KULP has 10 full and part-time employees. El Campo is a town of about 15,000. It sits in Wharton County, which is a population of about 40,000. Also in the county, just right up the road, about 10 miles, is Wharton, Texas, and that's about 12,000. So it's a pretty good market. There are a few other small towns in Wharton County that we serve, but we are essentially the Wharton County radio station. We are on US 59 between Houston and Victoria. So we're kind of in the Houston market. When we do buy the ratings, what they tell us is that we've got a ginormous cum, a big quarter-hour share, and we beat everybody in Wharton County, save one guy that works at KTRH. So we're pretty proud of KULP. El Campo is a very unique town. And this is what I tell people when they say, well, tell me about El Campo. Okay, here's all you need to know about El Campo, Texas. There are 4 banks in El Campo. 3 of them are owned locally. That's all you got to say. That's all you got to say.
You've had a long, successful radio career that goes back many years and many markets. Where did you first get started in the radio business?
Well, I officially started my radio career on August 26th, 1969, in Olney, Illinois, at WVLN AM and WSEI FM.
You've been an on-air personality, a program director, a director of sales, a general manager, and a radio station owner. Steve Zetsche, you love radio more than anyone I've ever met.
When I go out and I talk to people at civic clubs, I always start off with the same thing. I've been in the radio broadcasting business for 49 years, and I have not worked a day in my life. I have been blessed to do the one thing that I always wanted to do. I built my first radio station in the 6th grade. It went a whole 2 blocks, and that's when it started. So I'm pretty lucky. The good Lord has blessed me with a great career, and every morning I wake up and I'm going to do the thing that I want to do, the thing that I love to do, which is own and run KULP.
There's an incredible connection with this radio station and the citizens of El Campo. That must take a lot of work.
Well, I'm sure there are a lot of people that would say that it takes a lot of work. But it's actually not work. It's actually being part of a community. That should not be work. In El Campo, Texas, I learned an early lesson. People do not care how much you know until they know how much you care. But we don't tell our clients how much we care. And when we do, they generally don't believe us because they see us with our hand out. If people know how much you truly care, and that's really a hard thing to fake, if they know how much you care, then everything you know becomes very important to them. And that shouldn't be work. You know, if we worried about our clients' bottom line as much as we worry about our bottom line, I think radio would be in a much stronger position. I do my best work at the post office. So regardless of what market you're in, you can do your best work in that environment where people know how much you care. So it's really not what you know, it's how much you care. And that makes what you know really important to your clients.
I'm sure you have some agency business, but how much of your business is local direct?
My goodness, you know, probably 98% of what we do is local direct. We do some agency business, and more agencies, I think, are discovering KULP for what it is. We cover El Campo, Wharton, and Bay City, so if you have symmetry between those 3 cities and a client has 3 stores, whether it's an auto parts store or a clothing store, you know, they can come in and buy KULP for a reasonable amount of money to reach those folks in that market and know their commercials are going to be heard. Or they can go to Houston and spend 10 times what they would spend, and maybe they would get the results. So advertising agencies, I think, are learning to target with small market radio, which I think is pretty smart.
You know, Steve, you've always taught me that the best way to build a solid base of happy clients is to sell annual agreements whenever possible.
Yeah, you talk about annual agreements. It's kind of like the row that's going on in Washington right now. Let's just have a continuing resolution for 4 weeks, and then let's fund the government. Let's go another few weeks and fund the government, and let's go another few weeks and fund the government. And radio does that with clients. So radio's version of that is to run a 4-week flight, a 6-week flight, and go back and resell the client. So if you've got a client on for 6 weeks, what's the difference between pitching them a 6-week and 52-week? Well, the difference is saying to the client, we have a year to work on your advertising campaign. We're not going to worry about the budget. That's been set. We're not going to worry about the schedule. That's been set. Let's put all our time and energy into what matters most. What's your offer to get those folks listening to cross the bridge to go into your business? It's all about the creative offer or the offer. We spend a lot less time doing that. We need to spend more time doing that. So annual contracts, my book, hey, they're a good thing.
We've been marketing musical images together since we first met so many years ago. My friend Jack Taddeo, who's general manager of NRG Media in Waterloo, Iowa, sent me this great piece. May I read this to you, Steve?
Sure, I'd love to hear it.
Jack wrote that catchphrases are one thing. Jingles are entirely different. They're musical, memorable mini tunes that hijack and embed themselves in your permanent memory banks. That's a powerful statement. Jingles hijack and embed themselves in your permanent memory banks. Wow.
Well, you know, Jim, I really don't like the word jingles. It's something that you get in your pocket when you've got change. And I definitely do not like the word spot because that's what you get on your tie or you get on your shirt. So they are commercials and they're musical images. So when I talk about musical images, I try to be aware of what's on television, what's on the radio. And I will use that specific example with someone that's living in the here and now. And I can always dredge up the past, which is, Winston tastes good like a cigarette should. And there's a lot of examples that you can use.
We've produced some client musical images for you over the years, Steve, and we cut some radio station IDs for you as well. I hope our jingle clients are still happy.
When we started picking up clients using American Music Concepts, it's very easy for me to say to someone who's a prospective client for a musical image, have you heard United Ag? Have you heard Rice Farmers Co-op? Have you heard Tradition Chevrolet? Have you heard New First National Bank? Have you heard Select Imports? Now, you'd have to be living under a rock and never listen to KULP to ever not know about those folks. And of course, I mentioned the decision makers' names because all the clients that I've mentioned are well regarded in the market. So pretty quickly, that goes to the heart of the matter and gives me an opportunity to sit down and really talk about the fun side, which is the creation of the musical image. And I found that clients are really eager to talk about this because they care about their business and they care about how it's viewed and how it's positioned. So that really leads to positive things.
The station IDs that we cut for KULP radio are really terrific. I heard them driving in earlier in the day. I really love these, Steve.
KULP El Campo, Texas. Texas country.
Texas outlaws and legends.
KULP.
We did those in Los Angeles with a fella that's done quite a bit of work with Vince Gill and Amy Grant over the years.
Oh, yeah, I'm really happy with our station IDs, our station imaging. I talked to the Jingle guys, and what I found was a lot of cookie cutter stuff. And the more I drilled down, the more I wanted something to be as unique as KULP. All I could hear was the cash register ringing. And so I thought about my friend Jim Reilly. And I said, Jim can do this. Jim can create the image that I'm looking for. We play Texas country music with a lot of Texas country artists. And those artists have a certain sound. And I wanted our station to sound like that music sound like those artists. And Jim, they nailed it.
Texas country.
Texans, outlaws, and legends.
KULP.
What gave me the idea for our station IDs was the success that we had with Canal and New First National Bank and Rice Farmers Co-op, Tektronix, Select Imports, Tradition Chevrolet, United Ag, because we needed specific sounds that reflect Southeast Texas, and we got those.
I have a couple favorites that we did for you. I think the session we did in Nashville for Tradition Chevrolet was a great campaign. We brought in the guys from the Christian rock group, Reliant K. They were just nominated for a Grammy Award last year. And the singer on that is Dylan Spears. Dylan provides the TV show American Pickers with a lot of their music soundtracks. Tradition Chevrolet, Steve, one of my favorites.
TraditionChevrolet.com, based on traditions, focused on the future. When you're looking for a place to meet your car and truck buying needs, come see us at Traditions. We'll make your shopping hassle-free. TraditionChevrolet.com, based on traditions, focused on the future.
So it was just natural to say, well, if we can do this for our clients, we can do this for us. So we became a client, and it's been a good thing.
I get to meet so many nice people doing what I do, and boy, the people in El Campo have just been so sweet, so nice. The girl over at Tektronix, she was a hoot. She knew just what she wanted. She wanted a jingle that sounded like Katy Perry, and we knocked it right out of the park for her.
Our home is your home, place to make you smile. Full of great selections, quality and style. Tektronix systems, select imports, we love to see you smile. Tektronix systems, select imports, we love to make you smile.
Boy, that's a great jingle. Really is. We have two target audiences with the Jingle Podcast: radio station sales reps and local direct clients looking to build their brands with the power of music. Steve, would you please share your thoughts on selling annual agreements with musical images for all the radio sales reps tuned in to the Jingle Podcast today?
You know, I think the most important thing about a musical image in selling an annual contract is it gets the client to buy in, even more than the creative spots that you may put together. That image is theirs. They know it's there, and they want to use it, and they want to use it all the time. So it's a natural, logical conclusion to say to a client, let's use this on an annual contract. And finally, I kind of subscribe to this idea of no one can buy what I can give the client. So I say to a client, if we agree on this annual spending, I will, in essence, buy your jingle for you in commercials. So if it's $3,000, you're going to get 150 commercials. So you're going to get 300 commercials, whatever your rate is. You give them the best rate, and you say, that's a bank of commercials. Let's talk about doing the creative on an annual basis. We've got your regular schedule, and we've got this bank that we can use like a laser beam and target campaigns that we know will work for you and make you successful. That always wins.
There's no doubt that there's some business owners tuned into the Jingle Podcast today that are considering adding the power of music to their brands with a musical image.
As a business owner, I'm always looking to separate myself from the competition. And I say that to clients. A musical image gives you a chance to separate yourself from your competition. We know that musical images are not for everyone. And they are for those far-sighted business owners that want to separate themselves from their competition.
Finally, you stream your KULP programming. Subscribers to the Jingle Podcast can tune in to KULP Radio from anywhere in the world. How can our subscribers find you online, Steve?
Sure, you can go to KULPradio.com, and on our webpage, you can pick a player and listen to KULP. Now, I will forewarn you, if you're an enterprising person and you want to listen to us, that you got to do it between 6 o'clock in the morning and 6 o'clock at night, because we only stream during that period of time, prime time radio. And the reason we don't stream 24 hours a day is because I still want to pay for somebody who's listening in Europe. Also, I have an AM and an FM, and that's where I really want people to listen. And here's what we found out about streaming sports. Clients will actually pay a premium when we say you're going to be on the AM, you're going to be on the FM, and you're going to be on the internet. For some reason, with folks that buy sports, they get that. And so streaming sports is a big part of our revenue generation.
It's been a pleasure, Steve. Thank you for joining us on the Jingle Podcast, and keep up the good work.
Thanks, Jim, and thanks for having me on your podcast.
FM 106.7 KULP.
AmericanMusicConcepts.com.
Hey, thanks so much for tuning in to our February 2018 episode of the Jingle Podcast. I want to thank my friend Steve Zetsche from KULP for all his smart insight into radio sales, and sharing his thoughts on the power of music, a melody, rhyme, and rhythm. Hey, spread the word if you would, please. It's American Music Concepts, America's premier jingle company. We've done over 10,000 client jingles, and we'd love to do your company next. Be memorable.
AmericanMusicConcepts.com.